my mom called me aside. She said, look, your life has changed forever. You have to recognize that you're a mom now. You need to manage your time and you need to embrace your role. So what am I saying? We need to embrace our role as moms and our responsibilities. This is the first step because it gives us a psychological, we have to make that psychological adjustment. I have read blogs and I have read where some people write or how frustrated they are about looking after their children or taking care of their children. That's why I bring up this story because for a few weeks I was there. I remember just now as you told the story, you said, and remember that times you would cry. Yes, that happens. But I think when we embrace our role, it goes a long way to help. It's not totally going to stop it, but it goes a long way to help. And then having said that, we embrace our role, we embrace our responsibility. Now we come to the real time management. Time management dictates that we set our priorities right. And how do we do this? For me, there's something I call the decision-making sequence or the success sequence, which is you have to know what the priorities are in your life. So first and foremost, it is God and your spirituality, then it's your spouse, then it's you, then career, and others. And others has to do with other relationships and things that you have to do because as a mom, this is the social construct under which we work. It's not in isolation, so we must keep this in mind. It's not that you're a mom and then every other thing stops. Some still have to run a business, some still have to go to work. I have always worked in a structured environment, not okay, well, sometimes you do a side hustle, but I've always worked in a structured environment. So I might speak from that, but whatever it is I'm going to say will apply to everybody, and I'm sure everybody will be able to understand what I'm saying. So first and foremost, to be able to manage our time, we must have clarity. Clarity of what we want. Clarity of the things that we want to achieve. Clarity of what is important. And in doing this, it helps us to set our priorities. There's something I came up with as I was writing up. I have a small write-up I did for this. And it is that we achieve balance because time management is closely linked to balance. A lot of people do not have balance in their life because they do not manage their time well. If you manage your time well and put things in perspective, like I have said earlier, it helps us to have a balance in our life. So it is achieve balance through clarity and make and decide and design your life by the decisions you make. So it is to prioritize what is important. As a young mom, of course, it's the first thing that easily comes to mind is your husband, your children, and then career, because from career or business, that's where you're going to get the finances to do whatever it is that you need to do. So it is important to have this in the right perspective. And then for me, it was important to write down, after you prioritize, you must have a plan on ground, and that plan helps you to get organized. So for example, being organized is in every facet. If you're organizing the home, you have to have days where you go to shop, and days where you cook, places where you keep things. Something as simple as the children's underwear or the children's socks. I'm trying to be granular here, because I remember those days. If we do not do that on Sunday, if, for example, or you miss one child's stockings for school and you don't keep it well, what happens is it disorganizes the whole money. And that's money, everybody's running helter-skelter, and you're searching for this. But there should be a place for everything, and everything has its own place. For example, if you walk into the house and the car keys or something, there should be a place where you normally would keep the car keys every day. Even for you as a person, we're talking about trendy moms. So you need to have your clothes ready. This was the plan the week before. I used to do that on Sunday evenings. My clothes, the children's school uniforms and everything you're going to do, the bags are packed, and the snacks and everything that you're going to have for the week, they're packed in they're put in a place where it is easy to retrieve them. So I'm just giving this as an example. And even for you as a mom who is dressing up and putting everything together, I go as far as putting the underwear, because not having the right brand, you start looking everywhere and that disorganizes the whole day. Exactly. I can see somebody nodding her head because that has happened severally. So I learned over the time that, you know, whatever is in plan, we plan it to a T. Everything for the children, the uniform, the socks, the bag, the snacks, everything is put together. And so everything runs on autopilot once you wake up the next morning. So it's very important that as a mom, you have plans. You can plan the month, so you're planning the food, you have a menu, you know, and everything, and all that. Then number 3, what I'm going to say is it's very important to cultivate help from your spouse. Why did I say that? Not every spouse is inclined to help. And I do not think, personally, this is something that needs to bring arguments or quarrels. That's why I use that word advisedly. I said cultivate the help of your spouse or your partner, and say, you know, I need you to help me. You need to tell me what you can help with around the house. What is it you can do around the house? Because everybody has different strengths. And he might feel that you don't need help. So maybe because there's a paid help, there's a nanny or a house girl. So it's important that we cultivate our spouse, you know, to help us as we do our work as a mom. And then again, those days where it's been tough at work, we need their support to encourage us and to tell us that everything is going to be all right. This is very important. So we cultivate our spouse. There are some success factors that's, again, you know, important in time management. Apart from, like I said, cultivate your spouse, organize everything that you need to organize. We need to have a plan. And that plan must be granular. That plan must cover everything. Because if it does not cover everything, whatever it is that you leave out will come back to haunt you. I mean, it might be something that is very small, but it's going to throw every other thing out of whack. So it's important to have a plan and to keep that plan in place. And one thing I've noticed is, you see, because we're busy as moms, it's very easy to follow that which is urgent, because there are many people who are coming at us with their needs, with things that need to be done, whether it's at work or at home. We need to be able to plan time for deep work. What do I mean by deep work? So for example, Rosalind, I told you when we were talking that I was very impressed that you were able to do this. I know that to do this, you probably planned out sorts of time where you would sit down to write. Because I mean, I do a bit of writing, and I know that I have to take out time. I had to take out time to do it. So when I say take out time, we're very busy, the routine is going, but you must look at your long-term goals. You must look at the things that you want to do that are of the legacy nature. You must look at the things that you want to do to impact. It could be the church activities. It could be impacting a group of other women. So we need to make our time for this, because these are important, but they are not exactly urgent. But we also need to manage our time to create time and to do that. In managing our time, I think I should say this. We have obligations from where we set our priorities. However, everybody has different strengths. You need to know what your habits are. You need to be self-aware. So for example, what do I mean by this? I'm a morning person. I can wake up at 4 a.m. and go, and I just keep going. So you need to understand what you are or who you are, and where you can do your deepest work, or where you can do your most meaningful work. So for example, I wake up early in the morning. So I spend that time, of course, after praying, I find time, I read the book that I have set to read. I do some writing. As a young mom, it just means that, yes, of course, you need to wake up earlier, because maybe at 5 o'clock, you need to start the routine for the family. That necessarily dictates that you wake up earlier to do the routine for yourself, because in doing all of this, we must not forget the ministry of self, like Dr. Mrs. Awoshika called it. There is self, and you must continue to develop and to grow yourself. Because if you do not develop and grow, it is what you have that you're going to give. You will not be able to give the family more. After a while, you're going to dry up, and that's where the frustration comes. Again, get as much help as you can get. If you need to get a nanny, get one. If you need to get a help, get one. If you need to get a driver, get one. All of this is so that we are free to do the things that we can do. It's like throwing money at it. If you can afford it and you can get help, get this help. When you're getting help, make sure it is help that can do what you want. Which brings me now to delegation and abdication. I had this conversation with Rosalie maybe a few weeks ago about delegating. Personally, I believe in delegation. You have to delegate because you cannot do everything. I mean, because if I've been trying to do everything, you're going to leave out some very important things. So we must delegate. However, there is a caveat. If you're going to delegate, you have to delegate to people who can handle the task. Because if not, you're going to end up having to do it all over again. So it is about delegating. And I mean, if you've trained the person and you know the person can do it completely, then you do not have to hover around them. However, if it's somebody you're not sure can do it, then you might need to monitor. You might need to monitor what you're doing to ensure that you have the outcome that you desire. You remember we had that conversation, and different people have different ways they have handled this. There are many, I mean, some are extreme, but no one method is right because every woman is unique. And because you're unique, no matter what we say here today about time management, you need to find what works for you. These are strategies, these are ideas, these are concepts, but you need to find out what works for you. You need to take out of this and domesticate it. You need to find out what works for the environment where you are and what stage you are in life. Now, my children, like they say, my nest is empty. My children are not around. The way I manage my time now, it's very different from what it was when they were younger and I had to do 3 meals, get them ready to go to school. In the mornings, it was crazy because you're bathing the children, you're getting them dressed, getting them into the car. In the evenings, it's the same thing. Or when they come in the afternoons, you're doing homework. By evening, you're trying to do dinner, and you're bathing them again, you're feeding them. And you know all the drama that goes sometimes with what to eat. I don't want this, I want that. And all the strategies in your head, you're trying to tell the child, you know the child likes Cocoa Pops and you run out of Cocoa Pops and you say, you know what, Rice Krispies is good. And you say, no, I don't want Rice Krispies. And then you're sitting there and say, please just eat Cocoa Pops. Please just see Cocoa Pops has chocolate and it's right. So you know all of that, but you know, for me right now, it's very different but that's not to say there's nothing I'm doing because I have to spend time to call them. I spend time with them to find out how their day went. I spend time, what's the project you're working on? I spent time, we're praying together. 2 days ago, my daughter called me out of the blues. Mom, we need to fast. We need to pray. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. What do you want us to pray about? So my point is the work of a mom never ends. And let us just embrace it and enjoy it. It comes with a lot of responsibilities, but it's an opportunity to nurture. It's an opportunity to give. It's an opportunity to make an impact in the generation for the future. Okay, so there's a point I wanted to mention that I didn't mention when I was still talking. As for getting all the help that you need. I remember that then when anybody comes to my house, I engage you. In fact, I'm not even joking about it. You have to help us in the house when you're with me. There are things, but you know, I do not want us to feel guilty about that. My sister stayed with me and she helped out with the children and all that. My second and my last child, their ages are very close. Even as we run our homes and we do all of this, let's also remember that it's a kind of ministry. Yes, it is a ministry. Not only for the children, but also for the people who come around you and they see what you're doing. Why do I say this? My sisters now say thank you to me. You know why? Like I said, Anybody who comes to my house, I engage you. You have to help me. You have to do something. It's either you're helping with the children, whether to bath them or something. And I was just saying that my 2 young ones, their ages are very close. They're 1 year apart. And it was a bit difficult because it was like having twins. Anyway, my sister had twins and she lives in the US without the help. And, you know, every time she says to me, oh, Rametu, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I learned so much when I was in your house. I would never have been able to cope without the help because, I mean, you know how expensive it is to pay for help in America. So she didn't have the help. But there she was with twins and she's done very well. And she keeps telling me it was the time I spent in your house. It was all that things were helping you to do, helping you to look after the children. It really helps me. So I want to say that it is also a ministry. So don't feel guilty if you're telling people who come around to help you. So I just wanted to say that. But, you know, so in closing, I want to say that we need to manage our time. We need to organize ourselves. We need to get the help that we need. And we must remember to keep time for ourselves once in a while. Take time off for rest, for relaxation. Smell the roses. Make sure you don't communicate at work somehow with your body language or by the things that you say, that because you're a mom, you're too busy or you're not able to get into some projects. You have to communicate that it is okay, everything is all right, that you have it all put together so that you can get the roles, you can get the responsibilities at work and have your promotions and have your progress going on. So I hope that we got something out of this. But in conclusion, just to say that there might be failings and failures on the way, but don't judge yourself too much. Be kind to yourself. Things will happen. We also made some mistakes. There were some things that we didn't get right, but you know, God helping us, because in all of this, I'm assuming that we've put God first, not assuming, because I said it in I said it as part of our decision-making sequence. Put God first, get everything, get direction, get guidance, get help, and do as much as you can. Do as much as you can, but don't judge yourself too harshly. And be the greatest mom you can be without regrets. Thank you.